Welcome to the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast, a show all about reviewing dinosaurs on a scale of 1 to 10 fossils before only the elite terrible lizards make it into the prehistoric cage match. This program is presented by the Stomp Chomp Roar Company and can be heard within all the rock layers across the planet. Grab your dinosaurs and your official scorecard because it's now time to dig for dinosaurs. Here's your Mesozoic host, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony.
Howdy all my prehistoric fishing enthusiasts. Are you having a beautiful sunny day? I just can't believe we're already a month away into the beginning of summertime. Now thank you all for joining me for today's fishing trip along the shallow waters of the Western Interior Seaway. I'm your host and your fishing guide, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony. And I'm so excited to set sail on today's journey of the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. Who's ready for our prehistoric fishing boat tour? I just hope we have some smooth waters as we review today's marine creature over that Western Interior Seaway. Now, this was a body of water that cut straight through North America, from Canada in the north, down through the United States, including Nebraska, and then into Mexico during the Cretaceous period. Oops, I forgot. It's bad luck to have a fishing boat without a name. What should we call our fishing boat for today? I think I'll call her Aleasaura, and this means fishing lizard in Greek, just like many of the dinosaurs come from the Greek language. Now today, we're on the lookout for all kinds of prehistoric marine reptiles, including the Elasmosaurus, the Archelon, the Siphaxtinus, and even today's marine genus, the Tylosaurus. But hey, before we grab our fishing gear and load up our fishing vessel for today's review, let's update you guys on some dinopreneur news. Now you guys, just one business update for today. Are you looking for something to do this summer? Well then sign up for the Stomp Chomp Roar Patreon Club. For only $10 a month, you can become a Fossil Hunter member. Now this membership tier includes 2 virtual lessons a month and so much more. You can visit Stomp Chomp Roar on patreon.com and learn all the dynamite details. Now be sure to sign up now to enjoy a summer filled with all sorts of prehistoric dinosaur fun. And of course, you can cancel anytime. Now for this summer, I have my virtual lessons all planned out, so listen up. In May, we'll be learning about dinosaurs of the Great Plains, and then playing an Oregon Trail-like dice game called the Prehistoric Oregon Trail. Then in June, I'll have a lesson called the Prehistoric Luau and the Dinosaurs of the Tropics. And then we'll have a Land Before Time movie watch party. Then in July, I'll have a lesson called Camp Stomp Chomp Roar, and this will be the 3rd annual virtual summer camp. And then later that month, we'll have a lesson called Prehistoric Pirates and Ancient Sea Creatures. Then in August, I'll have a lesson called Geological Nebraska, before we have an arts and craft lesson where we'll make our very own dinosaur sack puppets. So again, to learn more about my Patreon club and how to become a Junior Dinosaur Ranger, visit patreon.com/StompChompRoar, or you can also go to my website, StompChompRoar.com, and you'll find the link to my Patreon club on my homepage. We're going to have such an amazing summer on Patreon. So many exciting dinosaur lessons. Now you guys, let's go ahead and give some shout outs before today's splashy review. A shout out to Guthrie Center, Iowa. We visited the Mary Barnett Memorial Library last Friday, and it was about 2 hours away, you guys, and it was a terrific show. We just had an awesome prehistoric pep rally for all of their readers up there. Then shout out to the beautiful Savior's Church. They had their Kidnect, their preschool come out, and they had a family night last Friday night, and it was such a great setup. They had a beautiful stage. I had all my fossils lit up so nicely up there, and it was just a dynamite time for sure. sure. So thank you to Dina and Kenna. It was just an absolute amazing time. Then a very happy 6th birthday to Elsie. We went and did her birthday party last Saturday. And you guys, we did a dueling science show. They had me, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, and the Stomp Chomp Roar Company. I went on first, and then after I got done, they had Dr. Oxygen. And he's another event performer here in the Omaha area. And he brings bubbles. He has so many cool activities that bring all kinds of bubbles to kids. They were all giggling the entire time. He did an absolutely amazing job, and I cannot wait to do some more events with Dr. Oxygen. Then a happy 3rd birthday to Brennan. We went and did a birthday party for him yesterday, and he definitely loves dinosaurs. The library was decorated all kinds of awesome prehistoric dinosaur fun. We talked about Paleo, our baby Spinosaurus. We took so many great pictures and talked about so many awesome fossils. Now everybody, also a shout out to my late father-in-law Steve. Today I'm wearing his Lake McConaughey boating hat for our prehistoric fishing themed episode. He was such an incredible man, and I can't thank him enough for everything he did for me in my life. So thank you so much, Steve. I love you, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again. And I know your favorite dinosaur was that tyrant lizard king, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now let's grab our tackle boxes, our fishing poles, and our dinosaur live bait, because it's time to go fishing in the Western Interior Seaway. Let's catch something big and start this review. There's a storm a-coming. Here we are, my junior paleontologists. We're on the open waters of the Western Interior Seaway, and I'm just so excited to do this review for today. There was just so many interesting facts and so much information about today's genus. But is it a dinosaur, or is it just a prehistoric marine reptile? And that's right, it's not even a real dinosaur. Today we're talking about a water creature, and this one's name is the Tylosaurus. The Tylosaurus. And this means the knob lizard. The knob lizard. The Tylosaurus. And it's not even a real dinosaur because, as we know, creatures swimming in the water and spending most of their life living in the water are technically not real dinosaurs, even if they lived back during the Mesozoic era. So our Tylosaurus, what type of creature is this if it's not a dinosaur? Well, this one is a reptile. Those who have somewhat of a scaly skin, they lay eggs. Then it falls into the subgroup called the Schemata, and the Schemata includes all kinds of lizards and snakes and amphibians that live today before it falls into the family of the Mosasaurids. So this is a reptile, a Schemata, and then a Mosasaurid, and these are prehistoric marine reptiles that lived back during the Mesozoic era. So they're not real dinosaurs because, remember, dinosaurs only lived on land. They spent most of their life living on the land, even though maybe like the Spinosaurus could have got down in the waters every now and again, maybe to go hunting for all kinds of fish. It's still a dinosaur because it spent most of its life living on the land, but our Tylosaurus is just a prehistoric marine or water reptile. Now, how big was the Tylosaurus? Its length, its height, its weight? Well, our Tylosaurus, you guys, the largest species, is between 39, maybe up to 52 feet in length, or 12 to 16 meters. It can be about 6.5 feet tall, or 2 meters, and can weigh roughly around 2,400 pounds, from what I've seen on during my research. Now, the largest specimen is nicknamed Bunker the Tylosaurus, and he's housed at the University of Kansas, only a few hours away from where I live. So next time I go down to Kansas City, I'm going to have to make sure to head over to Lawrence so I can go to the University of Kansas so I can see Bunker the Tylosaurus, our largest specimen of this genus. Now, compared to the Mosasaurus, I found that the Mosasaurus is actually maybe a little bit bigger than the Tylosaurus. Our Tylosaurus, we have that max length at about 52 feet long. I found that our Mosasaurus is about 56 feet long, or 17 meters, and they're actually a little bit wider than the Tylosaurus, but our Tylosaurus actually might have a longer snout. They're going to have probably a little bit bigger of a bite force, maybe some more of those sharp teeth. So even though our Tylosaurus isn't as big, I bet its snout and its jaws are a little bit stronger than the Mosasaurus. Now, how fast was this prehistoric marine reptile? How quick is our Tylosaurus swimming back during that Middle Ages, our middle life, the age of the dinosaurs? Well, our Tylosaurus is coming in about 35 miles per hour when we're clocking it with our speed gun underwater. Now, they're very fast, a very quick and agile swimmer. Now, what they actually do is they use their flippers, you guys, to be able to turn and steer throughout the waters, but then they use their tail back here to actually help them propel through the water. So their tail is helping them go, and their fins or their flippers are helping them turn and be able to steer all throughout the waters surrounding Pangea back during the Cretaceous period. Now, what weapons or defense did this creature have? What did our Tylosaurus look like? What are its characteristics? Well, our Tylosaurus is one of the largest apex predators of the ocean, and one of their only predators is going to be other Tylosauruses. So they might be fighting each other. They believe that they actually would have been very aggressive towards each other, maybe protecting their territory, wanting the other ones to get away from their fish supply, from their school of fish. Now, the Tylosaurus has a very large and somewhat flattened skull with a narrow and pointy snout. Now, they have a very huge and wide mouth and a powerful jaw. Now, their jaws contain 52 razor sharp and pointy teeth. These would have shredded anything in its path. And they also have 22 palate teeth. So if you guys put your tongue up on the top of your mouth, on your palate, that is where our Tylosaurus, our other mosasaurids, had a second row of teeth. So they have 52 teeth up in their jaws, you guys, in the front, and they have 22 teeth up there in the back, on their palate, on the roof of their mouth, for shredding even more food, you guys, eating all kinds of things, crushing all sorts of shells, eating all types of fish, maybe even some prehistoric sharks, and they believe they had somewhat of an 8,000-pound bite force. Now, compared to our T-Rex, T-Rex has about a 12,000-pound bite force. So these guys are Tylosaurus, like I said, crushing anything in the waters. Now, they have a round eyes with binocular vision, and their vision is facing forward. They're looking straight forward, just like our tyrant lizard king. This is in helping them incredibly. They're able to hunt so much better with that frontward facing vision. Now, they find large ear bones, so they're going to be able to hear fantastically all throughout those waters as they're listening for all kinds of creatures to be able to hunt and keep itself fed every day. Now, you guys, their skin, they're long and sleek, and they have somewhat of a diamond-shaped scale system that covers across their body. Now, they also have 4 paddle-like limbs, or like those flippers, and they actually have 5 claw digits in each of those flippers. So even though you can't see the actual fingers or their digits, there's actually 5 fingers that are underneath the skin in those flippers that make up their flippers that are helping them steer all throughout the water as they're hunting for all kinds of food. Now, their front flippers are also a little bit longer than their rear flippers, and like I said, this is helping them be able to stir and turn all kinds of directions as they're swimming very fast and agile through those open waters looking for all kinds of food. Now, they have a very long and strong tail. Like I said, that tail is helping propel them all throughout the water, making them very fast, up to 35 miles per hour as they're swimming through the waters. Now, these are reptiles, so they would have laid eggs, and scientists believe our Tylosaurus laid eggs close to the shores, and this would have been easy for the sun to be able to incubate those eggs and keep them all warm, as they're more in those shallow coastal of the Western Interior Seaway. Now, our Tylosaurus and our other mosasaurids, they breathed air, just like a whale does today. They would have had to come up to the surface to breathe all kinds of oxygen, just like we do. Our mosasaurids, our Tylosaurus, they don't have gills on them like many fish do, so they wouldn't have been able to breathe underneath the water. So these ones having to come up to the surface. Now they also believe they could have dived down to depths maybe 100 feet below the water as they're hunting for all kinds of schools of fish. And our Tylosaurus is a piscivore, meaning they're eating all kinds of marine species like large fish, sea turtles, other marine reptiles, and maybe even some seabirds that could be flying over the waters. They could have come shooting up through the water and grabbed onto those seabirds, kind of like our Mosasaurus does in Camp Cretaceous and in Jurassic World. Wouldn't that just be too cool to see? Now, where did this prehistoric sea creature live, and how long did this genus live during the Mesozoic era? Our Tylosaurus is living 70 to 65 million years ago during that late Cretaceous period. Now, they're here at the time of extinction, and a question I hear a lot is, why did the creatures living in the water, why did they go extinct when the asteroid hit the Earth? And it's quite simple. When that asteroid hit the Earth and it caused all the land creatures and everything to happen on land, the temperatures are changing. It's going to happen on the top of the water too. So even though there's not land on top of the surface, that water, it's going to the temperature is going to change, and that's going to choke out a lot of those smaller fish. And that's what our Tylosaurus is eating. So yeah, maybe it could go down underwater for a little bit, but remember, this one has to come up to the top to breathe all kinds of air. So it's going to see those fireballs raining down. It's going to see the temperature change, the darkness, and it's also going to find no food. All those smaller species and genus of prehistoric fish are going to start going extinct because they're getting choked out by the temperature change at the top of the waters. Maybe even all kinds of gases floating on top of the water. So since the water is going to start to change, it's going to cause the ecosystem to fall like a set of dominoes, just like it does on land for all of our terrible lizards and our dinosaurs. Now, our Tylosaurus living up to be about maybe 20 to 30 years in age, sort of like our tyrant lizard king, the oldest around those 30 years in age, and I'll be 34 this year. So if I was a Tylosaurus, I'd probably already be a fossil down at the bottom of the ocean, or maybe in some shallow sores in our Western Interior Seaway. Now, our Tylosaurus, found in North America, like we mentioned, in that Western Interior Seaway that we've talked about today, and it's also the state fossil of the state of Kansas, the one right below Nebraska. And remember, Bunker, our nickname for our biggest Tylosaurus, is down there at the University of Kansas. Now, this genus was named and found back in 1872 by the paleontologist O.C. Marsh. Now, it's found in the Niobrara Formation, and there's a little bit of naming confusion that comes with this genus. Now, back during the Bone Wars, we had O.C. Marsh and Edward Cope. These were two paleontologists fighting each other to find the biggest and the coolest fossils and dinosaurs. Now, back in 1868, Edward Cope found a new fossil that was the Tylosaurus. Now, he named this one the Macrosaurus, and then a year later, in 1869, he changed it to a species of Lyodon. So he changed it from that Macrosaurus to a species of Lyodon. Now, in 1872, the other paleontologist, O.C. Marsh, found the Tylosaurus, and he named it the Rhinosaurus. But then they found out that that name was actually used by another creature. So we decided to change the name, and we changed it to the Ramposaurus, the Ramposaurus. Now, oddly enough, this name was also already used. So Marsh had to change the name a second time, and he finally landed on the Tylosaurus, which means the knob lizard. And they're trying to make it sound a little bit about its snout, because its snout is a little bit more elongated, a little bit longer, you guys, narrow and pointy, and it has all those sharp teeth, so they finally named it the Tylosaurus. So it's been through so many name changes, and O.C. Marsh also included Edward Cope's specimen into his specimens. and that's how they kept it the Tylosaurus. So you guys, what is going to be our fossil score for our very first prehistoric marine reptile? Remember, our largest specimen, nicknamed Bunker, of the Tylosaurus is up to 52 feet in length and up to 6.5 feet high, weighing about 2,400 pounds. This one's swimming maybe 35 miles per hour throughout the waters, using their flippers to steer and their tail to propel them all throughout the water. Now, they're one of the largest apex predators of the ocean. They have a large flattened skull with a narrow pointy snout, huge wide mouth, 52 razor sharp teeth, 22 teeth up there on the roof of their mouth, 8,000 pound bite force. They could crush anything. Round binocular frontward facing eyes, a large ear bone. They're long and sleek for going throughout the waters, very water or aqua dynamic, so they can be quick throughout the water, everybody. They have those 4 petal-like limbs of 5 claws on the digits of each one, a long and strong tail, you guys, and they breathed air. They wouldn't have been able to stay underneath the water, and they lived back during that late Cretaceous period. So you guys, what is going to be our fossil score for our prehistoric marine reptile? Is it going to get a good enough score to be among the top of those terrible lizards like our T-Rex, our Spinosaurus, our Giganotosaurus, or is it going to get a bad enough score where we're going to throw it overboard off of our ship into the Western Interior Seaway? So you guys, this one is just one of the largest apex predators of its time that's swimming in the oceans. So this one definitely deserves a dynamite score, just one of the best scores of all those water creatures. So you guys, I wanted to give this one, as we were reeling in our catch with our fishing pole, I decided to give our Tylosaurus a 9.2. A 9.2 for the Tylosaurus. It's matching up against our Sarcosuchus and our Spinosaurus that we reviewed in past seasons. Our Tylosaurus, a 9.2 on today's review, all throughout that Western Interior Seaway on our ship and vessel. Did you guys grab your fishing poles? A 9.2 for our Tylosaurus on the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. What a huge catch! Our Tylosaurus is definitely an award-winning catch for today's review. Now, great job to all my fishing boys and girls for your help today. You've all earned your sea legs or your mermaid tails from today's episode. I couldn't have made it this far without all your downloads, your emails, and all of your kind words. Now, today's prehistoric marine reptile was even the very first water creature that I have reviewed here on the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. I can't believe it. It only took like 68 episodes to finally review a prehistoric sea creature. Now, have you guys ever gone fishing before? I'll have to admit, it's been quite a long time since I've went fishing. I think it's been almost 8 years since I had a fishing pole, and I would love to take my girls fishing this summer. I'll have to go buy some fishing gear and some worms. Do you guys like putting a worm on a hook? And a fun fact, you guys, worms have been found in the fossil record as far back as 500 million years ago. So even before the dinosaurs, we had all kinds of worms down in the ground going all throughout the sediments of the Paleozoic era, the Mesozoic era, and the Cenozoic era. Worms have been here for such an incredibly long time. Now, my wife Elise also has a great fishing story where she caught and released 34 white bass, 2 catfish, and 1 walleye all in one night out at Lake McConaughey, out in western Nebraska. We always go out to my Elise's grandma Sue's cabin every summer and just have a blast out there. And maybe she knows where the secret fishing spot is. Maybe we could even find a Tylosaurus. But what would be big enough to be able to reel in that Tylosaurus? We would need a huge hook, especially for a genus that scored a 9.2 on today's splashy review. And here in Nebraska, we were covered by the Western Interior Seaway during the Cretaceous period, and that's a reason we don't find any Cretaceous period dinosaur fossils here in Nebraska. It's so sad. We don't find dinosaurs, but we find all kinds of prehistoric water creatures that swam in that Western Interior Seaway, like our Tylosaurus, our Archelon, our Elasmosaurus, all those amazing prehistoric water creatures. Now, you guys, a quick joke before we go for today. Where does a fossilized fish keep its money? Where do they keep its money? Where does a fossilized fish, something that swims in the water, keep its money? Where does it keep all its coins and its dollar bills? Well, you guys, they keep it in the riverbank. Get it? It's in the river's bank and not in an actual bank called the riverbank that's on land, right? Ain't I just the funniest Jurassic jester you've ever met? I sure hope so. Now, during our next podcast episode, we're going to continue westward and into the state of Colorado. This is where we'll find the famous Rocky Mountains and our next dinosaur genus. Any guesses? You guys, it starts with the letter D. Well, that's it, everyone. It's time to anchor our fishing vessel and get this Tylosaurus all cleaned up for dinner. We're having seafood tonight. Who's with me? And I'll also be having seafood this Saturday. I think I'm going to surprise my wife Elise with a seafood salmon Alfredo pasta dinner for our 15 years together. We've been married almost 11 years, but we started dating 15 years ago this Saturday, April 29th. Elise was my prom date and my geometry classmate at Millard South High School so many years ago. Elise, she definitely rocks. Now remember, my name is Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, your fisherman-like host for today's podcast over the Western Interior Seaway, and as always, keep digging for dinosaurs. Elise's daddy was taking her fishing when she was 8 years old.